Clayton and Raven County. It's Roger Glenn again, and we're happy to be here with Mayor Kirk Cannon, the mayor of Clayton, to do the second in our series of discussions about kind of what's going on with the city. And we have named these, I think, Mike Up the Mayor. So thank you again for being with us this morning, Mr. Mayor.
Glad to have you over here on this beautiful, rainy Raven County day.
That's right, a Wednesday morning, fresh off a city council meeting last night. So I know one of the things that you have focused on in your short tenure is sort of a couple themes about governance that include transparency and sort of efficiency. Could you talk just a little bit about the focus that you have on kind of the internal processes of the city, particularly as it relates to kind of routine maintenance and addressing emergent, maintenance issues with water, sewer, and other things?
Yes, there's a lot of issues, a lot of just process issues going on there where it made it very difficult to get things done, even in an emergency situation. So we're trying to clean those up and make the processes way easier. Obviously, I've been in business for a long time, and we deal with things every single day. I can do things much quicker because I'm the only boss. So, but with the city going through the process and informing the council or getting the council support for things that are going on, or just setting up a process that for each department head that makes it easier for them to accomplish their job instead of tying their hands. And I have found, as we're still learning in the first 3 months,
right,
there's just a lot of processes that just didn't work well. So we're looking at how to clean those up, how to make it work better, how to make, when there's issues that arise, how do we fix them quicker? How do we not hold up the process? And then how do we get bids quicker to complete a project? We have money sitting that needs to be spent on projects that's being held up because of improper process.
Right.
So we're trying to clean those up and make things work quicker and smoother, and at the same time, trying to figure out the best ways to inform the public. Obviously, we're still really young into this administration, I guess, and the changes that we're implementing. But I think what we're doing is going to really inform the public much better. We're asking department heads to give us a list of what's upcoming on water and sewer replacement, roads replacements. How are those coming time-wise? Where's the money coming from? How are we going to do those, and so we can actually publish it out to the community and say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and we're doing it on these dates. The money's coming from here, not from the budget. This money we've got from grants, money we've got from different places. Some of those monies expire. So we have to get things done within a certain amount of time, or we lose that money. That's not good for anybody in the community. If we've got free money from somewhere else to do it with, as opposed to taking it from the tax base, we definitely want to use that and use it to the best of our ability to keep costs down for the taxpayers.
Yeah, well, so eliminating red tape, increasing efficiency sounds like a better return on investment for the taxpayer.
Absolutely.
To that point, in terms of some of the transparency and what's happening with projects, you were telling me a little bit about a quarterly forum that you'll have with some of the heads of departments to sort of do that. Could you talk just a minute or two about that?
Yeah, this will be new to Clayton. So what I ask all the department heads to start preparing for is part of those processes of putting in place, making me lists. Tell me what's happening, what's already started, when it's going to be completed, where the money's coming from, and identifying all those things. Then each department will meet once a quarter with all the council roundtable situation where instead of it being and intimidating, like at our monthly meetings, to get up in front of the council and tell them what's going on, which takes a lot of time from those meetings.
Right.
This will be a forum that gives each of those department heads much more flexibility, much more open one-on-one with the council, in a lot of ways informing the council of what's going on. That hasn't really been done in the past at all. So a lot of times councils things were going on in the community that they might be asked about, but they had really no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll formulate lists that will continually be updated. Those quarterly meetings will give them the ability to talk back and forth to the council, and the council might say, hey, I'm not ready to focus time on this road instead of that road for whatever reason, and talk about those things. And then the finance department can say, yes, we do have the money there, it's set aside for that, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Police department can talk about what they're doing and how they're making changes, which they are, into their processes as well, that I've asked them to do. Also, I've asked Andy to prepare a good talk show piece that he can go and take a slideshow presentation to different community events and tell about what's going on at the police department, how the community can be involved and help with identifying drug issues. We have done that already and found some hot spots and caused them to go away.
Yeah.
So just that forum of being able to communicate back and forth at that round table. Public will be invited. It'll be a really informative thing. If people want to come and listen, they won't be able to really speak at that. It'll be a business meeting for the internal part of the city. But afterward, they can talk to anyone they want to and ask questions and participate. But being able to listen, and then from that, we'll release news items to the paper, the radio, to anyone who wants to get them out about what's coming up, what's happening, and how we're working for the citizens of Clayton.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a really good new thing for the community.
Yeah, watch how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Exactly. That communication's never really happened that way before that I know of in the city. None of the ones there now say that it's really worked that way before.
Yeah, no, that'll be good. So that'll be quarterly. So we'll help get the word out about that. And so we were talking as well. You are effectively, of course, as the mayor, you're always where the buck stops, if you will. But now you're sort of dual-hatted as the acting city manager, sort of for all intents and purposes. But do you want to talk just for a minute, maybe about where you'd like to go with the city manager position?
Well, we've definitely got some interest, and we've got a few applications in already, and we haven't even really put it out there yet. But obviously, people know in the community that it's open. We're trying to rewrite the description for that, and then we'll send that out. I could effectively appoint someone without that input, but we want to try to make sure that we follow the correct procedures and put it out there to the community and in the state, and even further to, you never know who might pop up would be the perfect fit. Obviously, we've got our eyes on a couple people that could fit that very well, and so we're looking at those. In the meantime, I'm spending a lot of time working I knew that going in, that'd be the first several months would be a lot of time spent. Obviously, didn't want it to be this much time, but it is a lot of time, a lot of work, and having to answer those everyday questions. So I'm there every day of the week, meeting with department heads and looking at what's going on. I am the one that's being called on every issue from those department heads to approve moving forward with whatever it is, from the sewer issue we've got going on Hiawassee Street right now, going into the Civic Center parking lot.
Yeah.
I had to say, yes, let's move, let's get it done. There's not really a choice. You gotta get it done. It's topped up, it's an issue. But it's a lot of time.
Sure. So if someone out there knows someone who's interested in being the city manager of one of the greatest cities in America,
Exactly.
watch the city website. Probably, I guess it's the best place to.
Yeah, or go ahead and call one of us, one of the council members, put your resume together and send it into the city, and we'll take a look at it for sure.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about this morning was the Bynum Street project. There's been a lot of chatter, if you will, about it, and we talked about it last month. This is our March edition, obviously. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to sort of revisit a couple things about that project.
Well, misinformation tends to be what in America runs the country sometimes, and it runs the news, and and people want to talk about things without having the knowledge of what's there. There are a lot of ways to find more things about that through coming to our zoning meetings, coming to our monthly business meetings, council meetings, coming to those new forums that we'll be doing, or the round tables. Also, we have put some of the things on the website about that particular development, and we have plans at the city hall for people to come and look at and ask questions of council members and myself. That particular property, the way it was zoned, the developer could have done all of this without asking for a zoning change. The zoning change actually allowed us to have more input about what happens inside that. In the old zoning, we wouldn't necessarily be able to make him put in more landscaping or sidewalks or activities within that development, but under the PUD, we are able to ask him to do more things. He's been very willing to do anything we've asked.
Right.
So I think it's something desperately needed in our community. We desperately need housing. We desperately need some good rental property. There's nothing for people to rent. I hear it every day that there's nothing to rent. So when even the school superintendent is telling you, I can't get teachers to come because they have nowhere to live. So if they're coming short-term or just to begin with, they can go into that long-term rental property, which is what the Bynum property will be, a long-term rental property.
Right.
And they can stay in there for a year, 2 years, as they're finding a place to live or buy a home or decide whether they're going to stay or not.
Right.
Whatever the case may be. I've also heard a lot of even local people say, hey, I might just sell my house and move there because I have no maintenance. Because they fully maintain the whole development. They cut the grass, they take care of the outside of the home. Much easier to take care of as people are changing in life and don't want those responsibilities anymore.
Yeah,
so I think it'll be great for that. And again, there's just a huge need for housing in Raven County.
Yeah.
We're behind nationwide in housing, shortage of housing.
Yeah. That's a really good point though about seniors. I don't think people necessarily have thought about what can happen with seniors who don't want the responsibility of a home that they have to maintain and property and all those things. But this is yet another option to potentially keep some of those people, in addition to some of our skilled workers and teachers and people of that nature.
Yeah, it'll have a really nice community building for them to have events in. Has a big fire pit out there, walking trails, things for them to do within the community that'll be really
walk
nice
the downtown
and walk to downtown from there.
I may move there.
It's a good opportunity for a lot of different sets of people. And Reagan County is a little different than most of the surrounding counties in that our average age here is 49. It's not really good for the community to stay in that situation because you have less workers to provide services within the community, restaurants and construction and all those things. You're having more retired people. So the more things we can do to provide for a younger group to come in and be able to rent and start to step into here and move here is really good.
I know we're a little bit short on time, but one thing that you mentioned that I think is important for people to understand, you mentioned that the Planning and Zoning Board, as a for instance, is open to the public. The public can attend that meeting, and that's pretty much the case with the boards and councils that exist across the different departments, right?
Absolutely, and in this particular situation with the Bannon property, I've heard a couple people from the community say that our zoning board is just not adequate, or they're not well equipped, or they're whatever. They're just as good as any zoning board in any community in the USA. They're across the board, Democrat, Republican, tree huggers, tree cutters, developers, non-developers. It covers the spectrum very well. They're a great group of people that care about the community. There's some insiders and outsiders that have moved in, the move-ins and have been here in that group. I think they do a really good job of balancing, and we're also looking at some ways to clean up that zoning ordinance and those rules, and to make some changes to make it better for the future. But hey, any community, any group of people are going to have issues as we have growth. Every community does, and zoning seems to be the hot topic of every community. When something happens, everybody's scared to death. They don't want it to come, and then once it's done and they see how pretty it is, they're half of them are going to be living there.
Right.
Nobody wants Walmart to come, but they all go there and shop after it gets here.
But the point being, if people want to understand what's happening, those meetings are open to public. They can come and find out for themselves and are better informed with the facts. To
Absolutely,
your point.
and growth is always a scary thing in any community. But if you're not growing, you're probably dying, and we don't want to be in that situation, because that puts you in a situation where there's nobody to pay the taxes, nobody to pay for the infrastructure, nobody to pay for the repaving of the streets if you're going in the wrong direction. So you have to continue to move forward, or you're dying.
Yeah, change is constant, and it's coming no matter what.
we want it to be good for our community. We want it to fit well, and we want people that move here to acclimate to our style of life, not bring their style of life, and learn to be nice.
Right, absolutely. I know you're busy, especially given some of the things that you've talked about today. And so thank you again for your time, and we will be back in April with our next edition of Mike Up the Mayor.
Well, thank you very much, and see y'all next month.